Hello. Am I wearing the same shirt from the last video? Maybe. Am I filming a bunch of videos today because my work wants me to basically live there? Also maybe. But yeah, today we are filming the top 10 books of the year. Have I read all my December reads yet? No. Not going to conclude my December books in my top 10 reads. Because even though I feel like one will be on that list for sure, but I feel like it's not fair to put December reads on a top 10 books of the year because those books are so fresh in your mind, and it's kind of like not giving a fair chance to the books from the rest of the year, if that makes sense. So it's like these books have lasted in my head all year, and to throw in December books in that list is kind of not fair, if that makes sense. Because usually that's how I'm like, okay, this book is a favorite if I can keep thinking about it after I read it and like longer. So that's how I decided, and so yeah, that's why we're not going to have any December books in the year. Yeah, not that I'm filming this video at the beginning of December, and I know I won't have time. No, not that either. No. But yeah, let's get to it. So, number 10. I know how to count. Number 10 is Lost in the Neverwood by Aiden Thomas. This was an amazing book. It is a Peter Pan retelling that it says, what if when Wendy and her two brothers go missing, Wendy's the only one to come back? This book, I'm not a huge Peter Pan fan, so I was not expecting to like this as much as I did. This book had me almost crying. As I call them, my bad bitch tears. I don't like bawl from books or movies and stuff. My eyes will get watery and maybe one bad bitch tear. So, yeah. Also, I love the color scheme of this book. But, yeah. It was really good. The mystery was really fun. I did not see the plot twists coming. I would say look trigger warning, because I feel like what happens might be triggering to people. But, really good. Really sad and depressing, in my opinion. But, I mean, I love Aiden Thomas. Like, he's going to be one of my, like, auto-buy authors. But, yeah. Let's go on to the next number. Number 9. I am sad that this book is so low on my list because I am Sarah J. Maas trash, and Nesta is one of my favorite Sarah J. Maas characters. I was so excited for this book. A Quart of Silver Flames is on number 9, but I wasn't disappointed. But like I had some like big problems with the book, with the way certain characters were done and the way the ending was, so I couldn't put this any higher. I do love this Fake Crate edition, though. Like, this is gorgeous. And it feels amazing. Just, like, texture-wise. But, Sarah Maas gets enough hype and enough love, so I'm only just showing this. On to the next book. Number 8 is the first book I read this year. Which is also, again, like I said, we're not going to, do the rest of the books dirty by adding December, because it's not fair. But that was Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Just a second for this cover, because this cover is beautiful. We're not going to talk about what the cover for book 2 looks like, because that is a travesty. But this book is about in like a world pre-Columbian, what is the word? Word when white people came and fucked everything up. Colonization world inspired, like, indigenous, like, fantasy world. It is about basically like gods and people getting the power of gods and like a voyage. There's like a sailor. It's really good. It was very descriptive. Like I physically read this, and it was just so good, if that makes sense. Like, I really liked our main characters. The crows were really interesting. Our captain, I forgot her name, like I said, it was the beginning of the year when I read this. Zyla, I really love Zyla's like perspective. She is the captain of a ship, and she has like some powers that you find out later. But I really enjoyed this. I'm excited for the sequel, even though that cover is trash, and this is like one of the most beautiful covers out right now. Number 7 7. Winter of the Witch, and I'm going to include Girl in the Tower and Bear and the Nightingale kind of like all together in this trilogy. This was this honestly makes a favorite trilogy list, on my favorite trilogy list. I actually probably want to reread this soon so I can tab it up, because I was not tabbing when I read this in February. But this is about a girl named Vasya, who lives in Russia, and she can see the spirits, and nobody else can, so they think she's crazy, but, like, she has to save the world, or save Russia, basically. This is the third book, and she falls for, like, the winter god of winter and death, and, like, it's just really good, and she, like, fully goes into her witchiness in this book, and I just really loved it. The audiobook was fantastic. This cover is amazing. So, yeah, this is my 8th favorite book of the year. 7. No, this is 7. This is 6. Yeah, 6. I can count. But 6 was The Gilded Ones by Namia Foron. I'm not even going to pronounce that. It's right here. I don't even know what I'm going to fuck it up. But this was really good. This is about a girl who, basically in the village she's in, each of the women have to take this purity test. If your blood is red, you are a normal human being, but if your blood is gold, you are a demon. And she is conscripted into this military army thing full of the girls whose blood is gold, because they have, like, this amazing healing powers and, like, battle readiness. It was really good. Like, the way you see these sisters bond, the sisterhood form of all the trauma they've had to face, was just really... First, also, this book is violent as fuck. I'm like, fuck, I gotta cuss. Because our main character, she suffers. And it's, I was listening to the audiobook at work, mopping, like, oh shit. Like, oh no. Like, so, if, like, body horror is not your thing, or, like, just hearing descriptions of violence is not your thing, I'd be careful with this one. But this is just really good. And I'm excited for the sequel, and also this cover is beautiful. And I'm excited to see where they go with the sequel, because it kind of basically wrapped everything up, I feel like, in this book. So I'm excited to see where we go and what we learn in the next one. So, number 5, Cinco. Justice League Dark, Wonder Woman, The Witching Hour. Look at this cover. Yes. So, this combines two of my favorite things, Wonder Woman and witches. And so Justice League, and this also is basically going to have all of Justice League Dark. My favorite, if I had to do a favorite comic book series I read this year, it would be the Justice League Dark run by, his name is on here, but it's, James Tyrion IV. His run was incredible, but basically it is based, how many times can I say basically? Wonder Woman, after the events of DC Dark Knight Metal, or whatever. Wonder Woman is forming a team of magic users because something is going wrong in magic, and we've learned that there's these, like, eldritch horrors that are attacking and trying to devour all magic. And so in this, this is, like, the second volume in the series, but it's also a, event, so it's, like, takes the choice between Wonder Woman and Justice League Dark. But Wonder Woman is basically having to figure out that she has a past with the goddess of magic, Hecate, the mother of all magic in the DC universe, and it is really good. The art is incredible. Like, also, like, get the like, look at that. Like, I'm so happy that I found this hardcover edition, because, like, look at that. Look at that. Again. Like, oh my god, it's really good. I love, like, Diana, of course, is my favorite comic book character ever, my second favorite fictional character. And then this series, also, if you love Zatanna, I highly recommend this series. I will never not recommend this series. It is one of my favorite, like, comic runs. And I think it's, like, low-key still happening, so I need to continue on with it. It's, like, in the back of the Justice League comics. But this bind-up alone, too, was just really good. It did this whole interesting story about, like, Hecate and, like, her role in the DC universe, and you learn the origins of magic in the DC universe, and it was really an interesting take. But yeah, if you like eldritch horror, if you like magic, if you like Wonder Woman or superheroes, I highly recommend this series. And yeah, of course, it's my 5th favorite read of the year. So down to number 4. Wings of Shadow. This is the 3rd book in the Crown of Feathers trilogy, and I'm also putting the 2nd book, Heart of Flames, is also sharing a spot with this, and you could even consider the 1st book, Crown of Feathers, also because I read that in December of last year, and I did not put December books on my other TBR, my other top 10. And of course, look how I tabbed it up. Like, this is one of the first books I really tabbed up. Like, I really loved it. I tabbed it up, and I, like, highlighted, like, lines that really stuck out to me. Like, oh, let me see if I can find a good... It's just so good. Like, if you don't know what this trilogy is about, because I talk about it a lot, it is about 2 sisters, Veronica and Val. They are animal mages. They have the ability to talk and control animals, and they find phoenix eggs, and a phoenix hatches, and Veronica, our main character, wants to join the Phoenix Riders, who are these, like, they used to be these warriors of legend that have been shut down and are, like, illegal to be because they had a war. But she wants to, like, rejoin the Phoenix Riders that are apparently still around in hiding. And it's just so good. This cover is so beautiful. It has a really interesting, like, sister dynamic and a really interesting villain. Like, if I had to do top 10 villains, the villain in the series is probably on that list because it was just so good. It was just so good. So good. Really good. Like, I love a good 3rd book when it's done well. Because it's hard to find finales that are done well for trilogies, and this one was really done well. So, time for the top 3. Number 3. Gods and Monsters. Look at the Sprayed Edges. This is my Sprayed Edges edition. It's not the edition that has all the tabs, because I have 2 editions, because I have a problem. But, this book was so good. This is the 3rd book in Serpent and Dove. If you don't know what Serpent and Dove is about, it is about Lou, who is a witch. Reed is a witch hunter. They are forced to get married. This is the 3rd book in the series, the end of the trilogy, and I thought that Shelby Murren really wrapped this series up well. I thought all of our characters got satisfying endings. I really loved learning more about the witches that we learned in here, like especially like the Blood Witches, and we learned like Coco got some development, it felt like, and we also got to see like the mermaids, which were really interesting, and some of the, like, not as much as werewolves as we got in the 2nd book, but like really good. I could talk forever about this, but I don't want to spoil it, so I need someone who's read this trilogy so I can gush about it with someone. But that was number 3. Number 2. You should probably know what number 2 and number 1 are. You should definitely know what number 1 is, because since I've read it, I haven't stopped talking about it. But we'll put a minute. Comment down below what you think number 1 is. If you've watched my channel, you might know. But yeah. And then we'll get to it. Okay. Now we're gonna do 2. But number 2 is The Inheritance of Cordelia Davina by Zerdovia Cordova. This book has made her an auto-buy author, because I eat up her books. I still need to read her other series, I think it's a duology, her like YA fantasy duology. I need to read that, but I love the Brooklyn Brew House, and I love this. This book was so good. I tabbed it up, of course. Like, the writing was just so fantastical. Like, oh, it was so good. It is about a girl, Arcadia Davina, who, when she knows she's dying, she sends a letter to her family, and she says, you guys need to come and get your inheritance and come to my funeral. And so they get there, and she, like, gives them a gift, and then she turns into a tree. And then years later, things start happening, like, the family members start dying, and so our main characters, this group of cousins, have to find out about their mysterious grandmother and her past. And they have to go back to Ecuador and, like, find out what happened to her, what made her herself. Really good. This book, I love magic families. Like, that's my niche. This was it. I loved it. It was so beautifully written, too. Like, just, like, the parts I highlighted, because sometimes I highlight for plot, but, like, this book I was highlighting for lines. Like, Then there was the kind of bad luck that Arcadia had. Bad luck woven into the birthmarks that dotted her shoulders and chest like a constellations. Like, I don't know, that's just so good to me. I love this book so much. Number 1. If you guessed, hopefully you guessed correct, because I do not have money for you. Yeah, there was no like prize for guessing right. But 1,500 Miles from the Sun by Johnny Grace Avila. This was so fucking good. This is about a boy named Jules who, when he gets drunk at a high school party one night, he accidentally comes out via Twitter. And basically a boy he had a thing for on Twitter slides into his DMs and they start dating. And then he's like, just now that he's out, he has to live with being out. This book was really good. I loved it. I loved Jules' friends in this book. Like, I've never been so like in love with a friend group as much as I was with Jules and his friends. Like, this book made me laugh. This book made me cry. It was so good. I loved seeing a queer Mexican boy like on a cover. Like, oh, wish I had this in high school growing up. It was just so good. And I love the Selena references. And like, there was, I don't know, because Jules liked to cook. When he was cooking, I could smell it. It was just so good. I wanted to read this book it was the end of the month when I was reading this book. And this book was supposed to last me a week because I was like, oh, I need a book to read this week. I finished this book in like 2-3 days, which does not happen a lot for me. Oh, it's so good. I tapped it up, of course. But like I said, this book made me laugh. This book made me cry. So many emotions. But I truly love this book. But that was my top 10 list of 2021. Can you believe 2021's basically over? We have one last month. Well, this book comes out like in the middle of the month, but yeah. But write down your guys' top 10 or top 5 or top 3, even if it's just a top 1. I don't really have any least favorite books of the year because I do not continue books I don't like. I will say probably the lowest score was it is that Snow White one I read the last month of November was probably my lowest one. Kingdom of the Blazing Phoenix, I gave 2 stars, which I hate that I gave that book 2 stars. But like I said, subscribe if you haven't. Are you guys excited for what we're going to be reading in 2022? I am. I don't know what I'm going to be reading, but I will see you guys next time.